Hello everyone, so welcome to another episode in my squad leader guide commentary. This one's going to be pretty much about senses and how to use your senses to basically get a feeling of the map and, generally improve your situational awareness and what's going on. So while squad is mainly a first-person shooter, when you're in a squad leader position or a command position eventually, getting a feel for the game, getting a feel for the flow, understanding what's going on around you and reacting to it is extremely important. I think a lot of players get stuck in that kind of meat grinder mentality where once they hit contact, they just drop a fob or a rally and they just keep meat grinding, they just keep on heading straight into that contact, taking it on from the same point of view, and not really adjusting their strategy or getting a really good look at what's actually going on. So we're going to talk about that today, and I'm going to try to discuss what I mean by this and how it can help you, and generally how to use your senses to improve your effectiveness while playing squad. So there are three main senses in squad. You have the feel of how the game is, what you can see, and what you can hear. And all three of these, I think, are extremely important as a squad leader. Being able to know what that sound means, being able to know what you're looking at means, and being able to feel the pressure of the game is extremely important. So when we talk about looking for things, there are quite a few things that you can actually visually see that will telegraph or that will give you information as to what's going on. Things that, are really obvious, such as, a Logi truck moving to a certain area and then returning might tell you, hey, there's a fob over there, that's something that we could attack. Things that are not so obviously seen could be, a good flow of enemy from a certain direction over a certain amount of time might tell you, hey, there's a rally or a fob or some kind of spawn over there. And that kind of meshes with your feeling, your sense of feeling, and kind of getting to know where that pressure is coming from. So that's kind of the looks. I'm just going to list off a couple things here off the top of my head that you can see that might help you. So, like I said before, seeing certain assets go in a certain direction, whether it's a Logi truck, a trans truck, a Humvee, things like that, knowing that, okay, I see a trans truck going over there, they're going to hit us over there with some people, but I know they're not going to have a fob over there because I didn't see a Logi truck. So, that's a lot of information right there. Seeing movement from left to right or right to left, knowing the terrain around you, looking around and knowing, okay, there's a hill on my right, there's a hill on my left, there's defilade to my front. I know that, if we walk over here, those guys are going to have a shot at us from the hill. Just seeing these things and being able to step back and actually understand that information of what you're seeing. Because when you're in the moment, it's very easy to just go, okay, there's cover to my front, I might get shot at from my top right. And you might just fall into the, okay, I'm just going to go with the cover and deal with the contact at the front right. Or if you take a step back, you might say, okay, you know what, I'm not going to go to the cover to the front. I'm going to get around this element that's heading on the hill, and we're going to find a better position on them. But sometimes players get into the mentality of just meat grinder, just try to outshoot, just try to outperform, when a lot of engagements and a lot of situations can be dealt with easier or more efficiently by just taking a breath, looking for another option, exploring those options, and then making a solid decision on your understanding of the situation. So that's talking about looks, looking at cover, assets, anything you can visually see. I mean, it's pretty obvious what I mean by looks. It's just what you see on your screen. The next thing we're going to talk about is sounds. Sounds is one of those subtle things, but it can really tell you a lot. And I feel like some players don't really take the time to appreciate sounds and take the time to understand what certain sounds mean. But it helps build your sense of the game, and it helps build that situational awareness. So by sounds, I'll start with the obvious things would be, gunfire in a certain direction. Now the less obvious thing would be, what kind of gunfire is it? Is it an AK? Is it an M4? Is it a PPSH? Is it an SKS? Is it a Dragunov? Is it an M110? If you take the time to know the sounds of every gun, and you can, you take the time to practice and tell where a certain sound is coming from, you can really create an accurate picture of the battlefield just by listening. For example, if you're walking to the front and you know that squad 2 is on your left, squad 1 is on your right, and you're playing US, and all of a sudden you hear PPSH fire go off behind you and AK fire go off behind you, you instantly know, okay, there's contact to our rear, we need to readjust and make sure we're checking our rear. Whether if you didn't know the sounds of the guns, you might not know what it is and how to deal with it. For example, handling a PPSH to your rear is much different than handling an SVD to your rear at distance. These senses things can really help you understand. So I mean, taking a second, just really taking a second to learn and to practice and to just, as a commanding role, as a, planning role, you need to be able to take all the information you can possibly get, and be able to break it down to the most basic level to understand the most basic things and to react to them accordingly. And a lot of this comes with time. I'll admit that, there isn't a guide to like what to look for. There isn't a flowchart or anything like that. There isn't a, for sounds that just comes with time. You can shoot off every gun and then, eventually get the feel for it and eventually know how far certain things are when they're shot, or in what direction they are when they're shot, or who they're shooting at. But yeah, so like one thing that, is really hard to master with sound is knowing if that's an incoming or outgoing explosion. Like knowing the sound from the RPG fire to the RPG landing and being able to tell in your head, okay, it launched from close, it landed far, or vice versa, and that tells you a lot. Like it could be incoming AT fire or outgoing AT fire from another squad, but being able to take that information and really boil it down to useful information, not just sound in the background, will help you kind of, paint that picture like we've been talking about, improving your situational awareness. So the last thing I want to talk about, besides, looks and sounds, is feeling, your actual feeling of the game. And that's kind of a very vague term, I understand, but the feeling of the game is like the flow of the game, how the game feels to you. Like, are you getting completely destroyed? Are you is the pressure you're feeling pretty easy right now? Is it difficult for you to take this objective? Are you getting a lot of resistance against it when you push on it? Are you just walking through certain areas? Is it quiet where you are? Like the feeling of when you're playing the game. And that's a really obscure one, simply because a lot of players are just looking for the next firefight. But if you take that time as a squad leader to just pause, look, listen, and get the feel, we're taking this objective easy, we don't need help, we're pushing up against 2 enemy squads here, there's probably a fob, and there's probably we're probably going to need help of some sort. Instead of just meat grinder, let's see who wins, you should be taking the time to stop and actually interpret what's happening and being able to either relay that information to your squad or to other squads in order to get the job done more efficiently and more effectively. So that's essentially feeling, and I guess the most obvious thing to feel is how intense the contact is. For example, if you're taking sporadic fire, that either the contact's far away, there's light enemy contact here, or there's some reason. There's a reason why that contact's light. Just like when there's a reason when the contact's heavy. The whole enemy team's there, they have a fob there, they have a spawn point there, it's the objective, they're trying to move in this direction, they're setting up artillery, they're setting up a super fob. If it's light, they might be flanking, they might be maneuvering, they might be just flat out of position. They might not be covering their flanks, they might not be looking in your direction, and you can exploit that. There's a lot of things that you can really just, using your senses and not even your gun skill, really outperform the enemy. Especially if you really take that time to perfect it, to practice as much as you can, and take away something from every game. Like, try to focus one game on, looking. Try to focus on, like, okay, I really want to visually understand what's happening in this game. I want to know where all the other squads at all times. I want to try to, recognize and look for movement as much as possible. Or maybe it's sound you want to improve on, so you go through the whole game and you kind of focus on the sounds. You're really listening to what the gun sounds are. You're really listening to where it's coming from. or maybe it's the feeling. You're just playing the game and you're noting down, like, okay, it's light right now. Why is it light right now? Is it because we're X distance from the enemy spawn? Is it because, you know, players don't like to go this route? Is it because we're out of position? Are they out of position? Yeah, and just being able to really understand that information, and you know, the key here, the end goal is to get all the information possible, to understand what all that information means, and to quickly make a decision based on that information. Because a lot of this, you know, is really exploitable if you can react on a dime. You know, if you can instantly just say, okay, contact rear, flank left, flank right. Like when you turn around, you know there's cover on the left. You heard the SVD, so you know it's far, and you can really push fast now. Or you heard that it was a PPSH, and you have to, you know, stay still. But being able to make that correct decision on a dime, while using your senses to really help narrow down your options, is huge. And I think squad leaders would really benefit from, you know, taking their attention away from the shooting and more towards the feeling, and to actual leading, and to actual understanding and sharing of information. And that's, I guess, my little spiel and my little tip on your senses while playing squad. Because squad is such a unique game, you know, there's so much freedom, there's so many choices. It's not just like Call of Duty or Battlefield or any other game where it's just meat grinder, meat grinder, meat grinder, meat grinder, let's see who outperforms. Squad is a game of strategy. It's like an RTS, but you're in there, you're first person, and you need to be able to communicate this information with others, as well as gather the information from your squad mates. You know, listen to what your squad mates are seeing, listen to what they're relaying to you. Get a feel for how they're performing, get a feel for, you know, okay, I think my squad's strong, we can push this, or I think my squad won't really be able to take this, so we're just going to hold here and try to pick them off. You know, that's feeling. You're working with your squad, not just yourself. That has a lot to do with senses as well, being able to see how they're performing, and being able to really listen to their contact reports, or listen to what they think of the game at the current state of time. It's incredibly important. But yeah, that's my little lesson on senses, and I hope this helps you, and I hope it kind of brings the attention of senses to other squad leaders, and really helps that player base grow and learn, because squad leaders are really the heart of this game. And you know, you always have if you have a great squad leader, most likely you're gonna have a great game whether you win or lose. Some more great squad leaders are definitely something that we need. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.